We're talking here, of course, about Sprint and T-Mobile. These reports out yesterday, beginning in Japan, that Sprint was poised, or SoftBank, its owner, was poised to pull out of the negotiations. As I reported yesterday, that was not the case and continues not to be the case. Let me bring you up to date, at least in terms of what I have from people who are in a position to know. These two companies are still talking. They had originally focused on this week as being the week that they would come to some sort of agreement or not on price. Now remember, T-Mobile has been doing its due diligence for the last few weeks. There certainly seems to have been at least some questions about price from their side, perhaps being met in part by SoftBank's some new unwillingness to give in on governance. Now remember, when this whole thing started, the first provision that was given to Sprint/SoftBank as a deal killer was from Deutsche Telekom saying we need to consolidate the combined company on our balance sheet. We need to be the controlling shareholder. Not majority, but controlling shareholder. And everything I had heard was that Masa's son, of course, the man who controls SoftBank, had acceded to that. And by the way, he's a handshake guy. Once he gives you a handshake, he's done. Steve Jobs and him did a handshake on the phone years ago in Japan when he took over the Vodafone property. That's all he needed. So in this case, it seems somewhat odd that he's suddenly going back to look at governance and saying, well, we're not sure we can handle not having control in some fashion or not having very significant influence. Will they be able to surmount that concern and the concerns over price? Very much unclear. We will know by the end of the week. I am getting a more and more pessimistic read from people involved. But again, the reports that this thing is over are premature. However, it has hit a very rough time, I think is fair to say.
Okay, so
and it's really bizarre how this how this sort of evolved to this point.
Yeah, it doesn't. We all know John Leisure.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
I mean, could John Leisure's management style be an issue?
I don't think so. I think, in fact, frankly, from the conversations I've had, Masa would embrace Ledger more than the Germans might.
Well, they should.
They're of the same feather, those guys.
He's unbelievable, and he's competitive, and it's been force of will. David, T-Mobile stock, they had a remarkable quarter. It is very interesting to watch how this stock's been going down, and yet on earnings alone, I could argue that T-Mobile should be higher. I also don't think that if T-Mobile, I still think the Germans want to sell T-Mobile.
Sell it? What do you mean sell it?
I mean that they would
like
to have it merged with someone.
Yeah, but they want to. This is the best asset they have. They want to continue to have the ownership position of this asset, Jim.
So you think so?
And control.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it was never an issue as to who would control this thing until somehow. Now the SoftBank board did bring this up in the meeting Friday. That does appear to be where a lot of this reporting saying this thing is dead is emanating from. Is that board meeting? But really, it's up to one guy. It's Masa, and
I just think
as of now. As of my last calls this morning, while things did seem to be deteriorating, and he does apparently have difficulty with governance in a way that he perhaps didn't not that long ago. Although he always did, to be fair, he always was a little queasy about giving up control, but he was ready to do it.
Boy, it's hurt Sprint, but I would be a buyer of T-Mobile right here. Honestly, I mean, the numbers are just so good for T-Mobile.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.